Welcome to the show, my friends. Friday morning, New Jersey, Haddonfield, New Jersey. Specifically today, we've got our guest today from Haddonfield, from my hometown. I want to welcome to the show Reece Wilke. What's up, Reece? How are you, man?
Joe, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. So F5 report, guys, if you're watching the replay, make sure you ask questions below. Reece will come back and circle back and answer the questions. Always giving, always ready to provide knowledge and value to you guys. So I'm so excited to have Reece on. There's a couple reasons. One, local guy running a business, and it's a in-person, like almost like you would think, it's a karate studio, right? It's like, how do you avoid, human contact? How do you have a 6-foot rule and all that kind of thing during all this? But the best thing that I've seen about the story is the way you pivoted, Reece. And I'd love to talk about that today, like how you saw this happen and almost instantly created community and brand, but had them pivot with you virtually. Let's talk about that a little bit, shall we?
Yeah, for sure. So it smacked everybody in the face, me included. And I have no choice but to pivot. That's the first thing. We can all sit around and twiddle our thumbs and complain, and I just can't stand that. That's against everything in my nature. You figure it out, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
I was a terrible martial artist when I started. I figured out how to make it work. So it's just kind of a journey. It's another piece of it. Yeah, I was the fat little 12-year-old kid that nobody would ever think would own a martial arts school. But it was kind of breaking it down to basic needs, looking, okay, what do my students absolutely need, especially during this time at home? Okay, belts, not important. Nobody's caring about getting a belt right now. It's going to be holistic. So it's going to be mindset, it's going to be community, it's going to be physical training to keep everybody healthy during this time. So it was like, okay, what's the platform then? And at the time, I looked at Zoom right away, and all the kids in my area were getting hacked, and like pornography was getting thrown up in front of all these kids. So I had to go through and pick which platform. So Facebook made the most sense right away. So, okay, let's start here and then build out from there and just mirror what we're doing. We'll find a good time. We'll find a great platform, and we'll just get people right away in and then start building from there. Not sit around for 4 weeks and try to make some sort of plan. Not sit around for 5 weeks and say, all right, I think we've got the idea now. And then all of a sudden the pandemic is over. But right away, get something in their faces that they can do live with me, with community, and then build out structures from there. So it was just do something, get people engaged. Yeah. And I'm thankful to have good students that were asking for it. They were like, hey, what can we do?
Yeah. That's powerful. First of all, I love doing these interviews because friends of mine that I've known for years, I'm learning stuff about them. Like, I had no idea you were a chubby 12-year-old kid and, couldn't do crap. I've known you since you were a black belt and a master at some pseudo and been able to, just go out there and, do on shows and performances and stuff like that. So it's cool to learn that about you. The second piece that you said that I love, though, and it comes right out of a book called it's actually The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. I don't know if you've heard of this book or not, but
No.
He actually says in there, he calls it the do something principle, right? Like motivation is derived from action, not the other way around, right? A lot of people think you got to watch a YouTube video to get motivated to go do something. And his claim in the book, and it makes total sense, is do something, take action, step forward, change, pivot, figure out what it's got to take. But I love that no die attitude. And so how's it affected the business? Did a lot of people come on board with you and do this thing?
Yeah. So I looked at it like 3 different goals, or a couple different goals. The first goal was keep as many students active as possible so that when this thing is over, my business is not super affected. That was the first one. So how do I put my programs at a price point and a level where 75% of my people are going to stay engaged? And I have about 75% of my students. I hit that number. I'm at like somewhere between 75 and 78% of my students actively engaged and participating in programs. The other thing I looked at was immediately, okay, I got to do this in a fashion that really honors my customers. So a lot of schools in my area were saying, okay, everybody just keep paying your programs and we're going to kick stuff out online. What I did is I completely cut every program as of April 1st and said, hey, this price point is not good for you guys anymore with our online training. This is now the new price point. Not a single person has to cancel their programs. You guys got a lot of stuff going on. Everything's crazy. Everything's haywire. I don't need 210 emails coming at me to cancel programs. I got you guys. And then,
Nice.
hey, here's the new program. This is what the future looks like for the next 2 or 3 months. This is how you get involved. And I got it out to people right away. And immediately, like 75% of my families and my students were on board. And it separated our brand from every other school in the area. Had so many emails saying, hey, yeah, like this school they're still trying to get them to pay this much. Or even I looked at martial arts schools that were providing free training for their students, and now they're going out of business and trying to get people to give them money on Kickstart, which I think is just a disgrace when you're asking for a handout instead of offering a service. I just don't get that. And you can't serve your students when you're out of business. So one was keep people engaged. 2 was honor people. And we've been able to do both. And then from there, it was, you talked about, take action. Your action sets your mind. Well, working out and martial arts is the same thing. So the days when you don't feel like doing stuff is the days you got to get up and moving. And then it sets you in the right mindset. You're up at like 5 a.m. working out every day. If I have to see one more video of you driving to the gym when this is over with your face like in the shadows, like looking like Rambo coming out.
Just admit you missed the 5 a.m. video. I missed the 5 a.m. videos.
Dude.
No, but I love it, man, because you're talking about being proactive, but you're also really talking about communication. I think that's one of the things. I've done 20 of these interviews so far, talking to people about how they're getting through, how they're battling, how they're pivoting. And everyone's saying the same thing. Like, the more we communicate, we're in a time of social distancing. So, people start to think the worst when they don't hear from you, when they don't talk to you, when they don't. So we're doubling down on, we're talking to investors, we're talking to tenants, we're talking to our partners, we're talking. So, and I think the more you communicate proactively, hey, this is what happened. This is what's going to be affected. This is how we're going to pivot to make it better. Right. I think the more that happens, look, we're all in this together. So the more communication all around, everyone feels more comfortable, feels more safe in that environment.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, you don't have to have the perfect plan. Like we just said, do something, but then sometimes it's communicating your thought process. Be open. Like, hey, this is where we're at. This is what we're trying to do for you. And as long as you're an honorable person who cares about people and that's your goal in the business, is people are going to understand. So it's like, hey guys, this is what's hitting us. This is what's happened to us. This is how we want to serve you. This is what it's going to look like. And hey, there are going to be some issues along the way. Let us know because we want to fix it and make it better for you. People love that.
You guys are just checking in. Reece Wilke owns a local karate studio here in Haddonfield, New Jersey, has pivoted his business, kept 75% of his students in play, online, virtual, continued through this transition to be successful. So if you have small business questions, if maybe you're in the karate business, maybe you are an entrepreneur running, a local shop that's one-on-one, and you want to figure out ways to create opportunity to pivot, ask your questions in the comments. Again, if you're watching the replay, do the same. We'll come back and answer those questions in the future. So Reece, tell me what's next? Are you in growth mode right now? Are you in stabilize mode? Are you in, like figuring out what's going to happen a month from now when we're all let out of the house?
Yeah. So we're way past being stable. We're trying to grow now. I've actually added some new students, which is awesome, who are really interested in the online training. And it really, the way I set it up was very unthreatening at home. You don't need a belt. You don't need any kind of prior experience. So we've added students, which is great. Hoping I can continue to keep them. The problem is a bunch of them are in Delaware, Kentucky, and Indiana. So I don't know if they're going to be in my brick and mortar. So yeah. So I'm going to keep online training going. When this pandemic is over, it's going to be another stream of revenue for us and another way to serve students. So our students will be able to not just train brick and mortar, but also have online training. And if they can't do brick and mortar, we can still serve them, which is awesome. So that's great. We're getting ready for the reopening, which is exciting. And I'm actually kind of allowed to say this now. We invested a ton of money into a new building right before this happened. So we're working on construction while this is going on, which is actually, that's perfect timing. So that actually worked out fairly well. Yeah.
So you got a lot of things going. I mean, so you actually added an additional revenue stream. So I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday, and this is kind of the question I'm trying to get at for a lot of folks. I think I know the answer, but he runs a huge HR firm nationwide, brick and mortar office, 50 some employees come to work every day. And they've gone totally virtual, haven't skipped a beat on revenue, right? They're still maintaining all their client base. Do you think, I'm not just talking karate studio here. Do you see this as everybody going back to normalcy after this, or do you see a lot of businesses just completely reimagining how they can do business and changing up the landscape a little bit?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of reimagining, big time. Because I think the businesses that aren't imaginative are going to go under during this time. It's the people that aren't creative, aren't willing to change and evolve that are going to go under. And while, businesses like me that need to have physical contact for a large part of my product are going to go back to normal, but there's going to be things changed, right? I'm starting to look at a couple different things I might change, and having the online platform as well and online courses. Yeah, it's going to change. It's going to. You have to. Yeah. Because next time this hits, you want to be prepared because it's going to happen in some fashion again.
Yeah, I think that's the other scary thing that people don't think about. I'm not like a fear monger at all, but that we don't have a cure for this thing yet. They're saying it might be 18 months to get an actual vaccine. Going back to complete normalcy is just going to inevitably create another opportunity for this thing to spread again, and we'll be back into this in the fall. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows the answer. Let's be honest, right? But the fact is, this could happen again. So, if you think you're going to wait 2 weeks, go back to work, everything's going to be hunky dory, I think you're right. You have to be thinking about taking proactive action if this thing, happens to hit us again in the fall or the summer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or, just something else 5 years from now, I want to be ready for it. Why not? This is my opportunity, not just to survive and grow during this time, but also say, okay, if something like this happens 5 years from now, it's already set up. It's ready to roll.
Yeah. I think you're seeing a lot of the great leaders kind of step up in this thing. It's tragic for a lot of folks. It's scary. It's mentally taxing, right? From people's mental health standpoint, just being locked in your house with your kids and your family 24 hours a day. It's not easy at all. People become homeschooling teachers and keeping their kids in check as far as school goes. And I think it's a lot of shift and a lot of turmoil. What are you seeing from your student base? How are they handling it?
Different. It's all over the place. Mm-hmm. I see people that are handling it really well and absolutely adoring and loving. And that's kind of like my A-rated students. And I sat and talked with a student yesterday via a Zoom lesson. He goes, "This is great." He's like, "I'm finishing all my work by 10 a.m. This kid's waking up at like 5:30 like you. He's going full Rambo in the morning. And he's finishing all his work by 10. That kid's he's going places, He's figured, hey, look, I'm no longer being dragged down by the kid next to me in this classroom who keeps asking the teacher dumb questions or time slots that are set by the school. And he's got all his homework done. He's a straight A student. And he's, what he's doing with the rest of the day? He's coding.
Yeah.
He's 10 years old. He's coding away. Yeah. So, I mean,
I tell you, just in general. Yeah, there are. I mean, I know my kids, I think this changes the game. I mean, this, neither one of us are experts in this, but I believe that homeschooling is going to be on the rise after this. I think a lot of kids are going, man, my daughters, look, they learn at different levels. My one's in fourth grade. She's probably capable of doing seventh grade English, but she's on a fourth grade math level. I think that when you start to look at that level and start to say you can cater to the student's individual needs without having to be in this group environment, all of a sudden the light bulb's going to go off, right?
Yeah. And kind of two things to go with that. First, hilarious. I was homeschooled all the way through. So every single grade up through college.
No way.
Yeah. And I can admit it. I can admit it now without people looking at me like I'm a freak. They're like, "Oh, did you have friends in high school?" Yeah. I had friends in high school. But it was awesome. And it was the same thing. I got my work done and I was hanging out with my buddy playing baseball in the afternoon while all the other suckers were in school. And I was a straight A student. I was done 2 years of college before I finished high school because I was taking college credits and high school credits at the same time. So that's one. So expert. Joe,
I didn't know that.
Expert over here.
Nice.
The other thing is how do you serve those kids, right? So I'm actually going through right now. I'm creating a couple different courses. One is for ages like 10 to 15, a course on entrepreneurship, another course on public speaking, and another course on human interaction, how to shake somebody's hand, how to look somebody in the eye, how to carry yourself, that kind of stuff. So it's all right, how else can I serve these students in my community? And it's still under my umbrella of my brand and my martial arts, but there's going to be more and more people searching for online trainings of different sorts. I got to be ready for it.
I think that's strong, man. Especially today's kids. I think it's they don't get taught that stuff, right? Like, I mean, even my own kids, like at the dinner table, and I'm trying to get them to, listen to the adults speaking. And they're just talking over top of them, and it's like, man, just trying to get these kids today to pay attention for 30 seconds is really, really difficult. So I think that's strong. So you sign up for that stuff when you get it recorded.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'll probably be running it by you. I'll beta test it on you. I'll send it over. Say, hey, Joe, take a look.
Do it, man. Do it. I'll tell you if they engage or not, because, again, I think that's a big piece that's missing in culture. I think it's funny that, not funny, but, learning stuff from you that you were homeschooled, because I believe that, 10 years from now, I don't see how school could be a real thing anymore. With the way technology goes and the way that we're learning today and the way I just, I think it's interesting with even people going to school.
What, you've been hanging out with Gary Vee? He's been preaching that for the last couple of years. That
has he really? I don't pay enough attention to him. I watch him every once in a while. I know that he says a lot of good shit about college, but no, I haven't heard that before.
Yeah, he thinks higher education will disappear. Yeah.
Come on, Reece. No, seriously, I haven't heard him say that about. I was watching. Speaking of like ways to, cope with this thing. I think some of the things I love about him. The other day I was watching him do one of those yard sale finds where he like runs around garage sales and buys stuff and sells it on eBay and creates. I think an entrepreneur can create in any environment, and I think that's so interesting for a guy like that is just showing people, hey, you can do it at any level and it doesn't cost you anything but time. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about those people right now that are not pivoting the way you're pivoting? I mean, we're not here to talk down or sideways to anybody. How can we help them, learn to get a little bit more accessible to the resources that are available to them to kind of survive?
I mean, first, I would just say when you're not pivoting, you're not serving. And if you're not serving in business, whether it's real estate, whether it's martial arts, whether it's a restaurant industry, how long are you going to stay in business? You got to serve people. So you got to get over yourself. Because it's a depressing time. It's a frustrating time. The first week was scary. I was like, oh man, am I going to lose 100% of my income from my business overnight? So you got to understand we're here to serve other people. I'm not in business. I am in business for myself, but I'm in business for other people. What can I give back? How can I help? How can I serve? And just talking to community, you got to be plugged in the community. I mean, we're over at Ends of the Earth with Mitch Gorshin, that kind of stuff. And I've been walking by there every day because it's around the corner from my business, sitting 6 feet from Mitch and just bouncing ideas back and forth off each other. And the positivity that's brought and just encouragement to do things, as well as the ideas that have come out of that. I mean, that's what you need, because there's a million online resources, right? You can get so swamped and overwhelmed by all the ways you could pivot. You just need somebody to talk to and bounce it off.
I love that, man. And I was going to say local businesses, but any small business that's having this type of, feel free, reach out to guys like me. Reach out to, I know Reece will take your PM, just to bounce ideas, to think of different resources that can get you in a different direction. Sometimes a 5-minute phone call is there, that light bulb gets lit. You're like, wow, man, I never even thought about that. Right.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think that's, go ahead.
I've been reading, and the title just escaped me, but I'm reading it again. It's How to Make Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Yeah, great book. And I just finished the section again on listening and just how ideas flow out of that, sales flows out of that, is just stopping and listening and getting out of your own head and putting your pride to the side. That's something you got to learn no matter where you are in business. If you're in the middle of a pandemic or you're not, listen to what your customers need and serve it, because they're going to tell you how to make money.
100%. 2 ears and one mouth, right? I mean, the more you listen, the more rapport you build, the more opportunity you create, the more people start to like you and trust you and feel comfortable around you and want to do things with you, whether or not that's directly related or help you connect to someone else. Like, listening to people's, challenges, and then just, sometimes again, it's advice. Maybe it's providing a solution. Maybe it's providing a connection. Maybe it's an email introduction somewhere. Maybe it's, whatever. I can tell you, just in this last 30 days, I've had so many great conversations with really good friends of mine that I haven't, maybe I haven't talked to in a couple months, and, we're going through some business pivots as well. So, getting introductions from people. Hey, this is what we're looking for. Talk to this guy. Like, I think the more we clam up and we're quiet, the less opportunity we have to help others, but to also inevitably help ourselves as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that masterminding principle. So many people have avoided putting themselves in a mastermind, and just the business opportunities that come out of it, just from the connections, let alone the learning, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
So you're reading books. What else are you doing? Because you're obviously a self-motivated dude. You're always learning. You're always growing. You're pushing yourself to new lengths. I mean, are you involved in other groups? Who are you talking to? How did you get to this level?
Yeah. So, people are like, how do you get this level? I don't feel like I'm at a level yet. I'm still trying to work my way up to a level. When I have
You are, man. You are. I've been trying to tell you this. You are.
Yeah. Well, the goal is not to sit where I'm at, so I think I'll keep that mindset. One, I have a good relationship with my father, and he owns business. So a lot of times I sit and talk to him, and I can't say it's always listen to what he says. Sometimes it's listen to what he says and do the opposite, that type of thing, which anybody who has a dad that owned a business will understand, as much as I love the man. But it's talking to people. So, I have a mentor. I have a guy named, his name's Sid. He's phenomenal. I actually met him through Mitch, and he's been working with me even during this pandemic, sitting in everything from crunching numbers to talking branding to products. So that's been just huge. And I sit there and I ask questions that make me sound dumb, because he's the person I can do it with. You can't be asking your questions to your customers that show that you don't know what you're talking about on certain subjects, that kind of stuff. So he's phenomenal. And like we mentioned, the Ends of the Earth group with Mitch, right, over at his cigar shop, just the quality of the people in there to bounce ideas off and talk to is great. And then connecting myself with other businesses that are in the same vein as me around me. So our Williamstown school with a really close friend of mine, there's a school in Voorhees. I talk to that guy all the time, just looking for people who are doing what I'm doing to connect with. But then I also look for people who do the complete opposite, and I try to take it from their industry and bring it into mine.
I love it. Man. Staying connected in this time. Why don't we pivot for a second? Let's talk fitness. I mean, you're standing in your garage. It looks like you got a CrossFit gym in there. It's just insane amount of weights. And so what's your routine look like right now? I mean, you obviously switched up. I mean, are you getting your workouts by teaching others online, or are you doing some extracurricular activities?
Yeah, well, I never consider my workouts that I lead with somebody else a workout. It's just not. And if I do that, what happens is in the middle of the workout, if I got to motivate somebody, explain to somebody, I'm missing calories, I'm missing reps, and I'm not going to sacrifice my workout routine for that. So anything I teach is just bonus on top. I do a push-pull legs, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or whatever. So push-pull legs, and I just lift heavy, lift intense, and right now it's killing me because I can't fight. That's the thing I enjoy most, the sparring and the wrestling. That's the best cardio, which, Joe, you started getting into jiu-jitsu classes, that kind of stuff.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, what did we do for 2 weeks? I was all excited, and then boom, we stopped. I can't wait to get back on the mat. I mean, that was intense.
Yeah. Wrestling is probably one of the best cardiovascular workouts you can do, Brazilian jiu-jitsu wrestling. So lifting just as heavy as I can here, and then doing cardio in the afternoons, well, more like HIIT workouts, that type of stuff, and just eating clean. Drink lots of water. Get your protein count really high, because everybody's protein counts are so low, they have no idea. And tracking calories, and try not to eat Ben and Jerry's every night. And then set it up for something that you can live your life that way for the rest of your life. I'm not trying to be a fitness model, walk around on stage with a spray tan, but I want to know I'm going to keep my fitness at a certain level for the rest of my life. And the way I have it set up, it's easy to maintain. I'm not walking around feeling hungry,
Love it, man. Talk about that piece you kind of glossed over, but I think it's important for a lot of people that their protein levels are too low, and are people not eating enough meats or fish, or like what's
it just comes down to tracking it. People aren't tracking it. People aren't checking to see actually how much protein they've had. They're like, oh yeah, I had a protein shake, or I had a piece of chicken. You're like, all right, you had 34 grams of protein. I'm averaging 160 grams of protein a day. Your piece of chicken or your one scoop of whey protein is not getting you there. So, just tracking, and because everybody's different. One person needs 100, another person needs 80. You just got to figure out what you need for what your goal is, but then track it like everything else. It has to be tracked. It's just like all the scales in your business. You got to track the revenues. You got to track the losses. You got to track it. Tracking.
So you're up to 160 a day. What's that look like on a given day? You just walk us through that. 160
like intake.
Yeah.
4 or 5
2 protein shake. What's that?
4 or 5 eggs in the morning. 4 or 5 eggs in the morning. Whey protein. Pretty much my wife and I eat salmon or chicken for every dinner at night. Eating chicken for lunch, that kind of stuff. But it adds up fast. And the two things that I think are the easiest for me to add protein to my day are Greek yogurt. I love Greek yogurt. Got to watch the calorie count, but Greek yogurt's great. And cottage cheese. I eat more cottage cheese than anybody I know.
Now, do you just eat it straight out of the container, or do you put stuff in it?
Straight out of the container. A little salt, a little pepper. My wife gives me a weird look, and it's delicious. I don't know, Joe. It's delicious. And the fact that my wife doesn't want to eat it makes it even better and easier to keep in the house.
I love it, man. I love it. So that's, I like that. So stick to a routine, drink lots of water. Workout plan. Are you working out every day? Are you working out 2 times a day? How are you training?
6 days a week. Yeah. So I do Monday through Saturday, and I take Sunday as like a Sabbath, a day off. That's my day to walk, go for a nice bike ride, but not a workout. I usually leave that off. Sometimes I'll still do a Saturday, depending on what's going on. If there's going to be, family dinner with, Sunday gravy going on at my parents or whatever, I'll adjust to what's going on. But consistent. Consistency is key. All these people that lose 60 pounds in 2 months, I'm afraid of. It all comes back when you lose the 2 pounds.
I call it the COVID-20. I swear, I think everyone I know is putting on COVID-20 right now.
That's just your hair, Joe. You just need a haircut. That's all.
My hair.
It's just hair weight.
No idea how much.
I'll buzz it up for you.
Oh, dude, I'm heading over there, man, because I'm telling you, the sides are driving me nuts. I'm so close to cutting my own head. I'm just going to give myself a buzz cut. Yeah, and then let Alex figure it out when we go back to work here. So, all right. So I want to be respectful of your time. We're getting close to that 8:30 mark. What did I forget to ask? What are the kind of things you want to talk about, or potentially some links people can find you, stuff like that?
Yeah, so I guess leading up to this interview, I started thinking, okay, how does my industry relate to the real estate industry or wholesale industry, that kind of stuff? And it really comes down to people connections. So many people are terrible at communication with another person, whether it's via email, text, phone, anything. Every time I've bought a house or set a mortgage, which is a number of times now, is I get these emails that are horribly worded with terrible copy. Yeah. They're either incredibly fake or they have spelling errors, and that drives me crazy. That immediately wants me to shut down a transaction with somebody where it's like, all right, you obviously don't know you don't know the difference. So, and there and all this stuff. So that stuff drives me crazy. I'd say copy is huge. People are not willing to pay somebody to give them good copy. That's something I learned, and I consider myself decent at copy, but there's so many people better than me. When I can pay somebody else for copy, I'll do it. And then in person, knowing how to do public speaking and shake somebody's hand, look somebody in the eye. It doesn't matter what freaking industry you're in. You got to be able to do that. Even if it's over Zoom, it's the same stuff. You got to be looking at that screen, not distracted by your phone while you're on the Zoom call with somebody. There can't be bells and whistles going off in the background. And figure out how to have good audio so you can have good communication. It comes down to that every time.
There's some great takeaways there in the last 30 seconds, folks. Reece, I appreciate you being on the show, man. That was good stuff. I think that if you guys find value in this, all we ask you to do is share it with your friends. Send it in Messenger, share it on your wall. Get Reece's message out there. Another local small business owner who's out there creating pivot, creating opportunity, and surviving and thriving through this whole thing. So, Reece Wilke, thanks for being on the show, man.
Hey, Joe Evangelisti, ladies and gentlemen.
Get out of here.
Thanks for having me on, man.
All right, man.